Hi, this is Ken Murphy with SAP Insider, and I am at the SAP Insider GRC 2015 event. This afternoon, I am pleased to be joined by Jody Paterson, who's the CEO of ERP Maestro. Jody, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Ken. Thanks for inviting me.
I was hoping we could start, if you could just introduce yourself to our viewers, describe your role and responsibilities of ERP Maestro, and your background in the GRC space.
Certainly. Well, I'm the CEO and founder of ERP Maestro, which is a cloud-based SaaS-delivered access control solution configured for SAP. Mm-hmm. I've always really been in the security and compliance space, dealing with a lot of Fortune 500, Fortune 100 mid-market customers. While at KPMG, I was there for just under 10 years. A lot of the time, I worked with customers that had very similar challenges in the security and compliance space. I developed a lot of methodologies around the remediation of security, the redesign of security, and then delivered a lot of the training and presented at conferences around those methodologies. It was actually that experience that led to the creation of ERP Maestro, just thinking there had to be a better way to allow companies to move towards access control automation than what was available to them today.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so can you talk a little bit more specifically about what ERP Maestro does for companies that are, organizations that are running SAP, and what sort of challenges that they're having that ERP Maestro helps them solve?
Certainly, so let me define the problem. So controls around access to programs and data, it's pretty challenging for a lot of organizations to do well and to do right. Not only design them well, but ensure that they're operating effectively over the period under review, but then at the end of the year making sure that they can collect the evidence to make sure that they're defensible with the external auditors. And the types of controls I'm talking about are segregation of duties, access to sensitive data, emergency access management, the provisioning process in general, quite a few controls. And a lot of companies actually manage that process manually. Mm-hmm. It's actually, Gartner did a study, and about 80% of companies today are performing that process manually. And that it was documented that it's pretty inefficient.
Right.
You've got people going and extracting data out of SAP, compiling these access databases, and all along the way there are these points of failure that can occur, especially around completeness and accuracy. Mm-hmm. You've also got the amount of time that goes into performing those processes requires a lot of resource time, which ultimately results in it being extremely expensive. And then you've also got the fact that there are points in that process that can fail, where imports fail and the results of those big queries that are performed, the accuracy of those results is really questionable. Mm-hmm. So ultimately at the end of the year, there's a gamble whether or not they will be relied upon or not, and significant deficiencies come out of that. So automation really is the key. No matter what gets implemented, automation of those controls are key to being able to address those issues. Mm-hmm. Now in that study that I referred to earlier, the Gartner study, they actually identified what the reasons were for that low adoption. And they said cost and complexity. So cost being, it's a very big nugget to actually go ahead and jump to that automation. It may not even be a high priority project. Mm-hmm. And then complexity being, you've got to hire all these guys, go through the implementation process, which really takes some time, takes a lot of people. So that is what ERP Maestro addresses. What ERP Maestro does is it removes the complacency in the market to take on the implementation of an automated access control solution by removing the cost and complexity. Mm-hmm. Or we really want to reduce the cost that companies go through, to reduce that complexity, because then they can take that first step towards automation.
Right.
And then once they realize the benefits, that's when the solution actually facilitates a move to SAP GRC, allowing them to have a far more robust solution.
So can you just address some maybe specific examples of how ERP Maestro does do that, remove the cost and complexity?
Sure. So think about ERP Maestro is a cloud-based, SaaS-delivered, subscription-based service for an automated access control suite. Mm-hmm. And how they can do that is they simply go online, subscribe to the service, and they can plug in their SAP instance to this already powerful infrastructure that's up and running for them. It literally takes 30 minutes to start consuming these automation services, so significantly lower complexity. Because it's a subscription-based service, everything is actually included. You've got the hardware, you've got the software, you've got the configuration, you've even got training. Absolutely everything is included in the service, and they can consume it very quickly, very simply. Now, because of that simplicity, you've also got some massive agility. With that, especially with companies that are going through many mergers and acquisitions, that agility allows them to really plug into companies that they're bringing on, that they're divesting. It really gives them that powerful piece of agility. That, in fact, we actually do have a specific case study where a third party came in and looked at the benefits that this automation gave them. And they realized that they calculated that they got 700 hours worth of time back, which directly translated into a savings, immediate ROI as of day one, really.
Right.
And once the company actually realizes those benefits of having the automated, the ability to automate those access controls and how much time they're saving, how easy it is to actually do, well, that's when their GRC framework becomes a lot more complex. They start to incorporate a lot more into their framework in general. And that's when the solution will facilitate that move for them to SAP GRC. But in fact, we actually found a lot of companies, when they implement SAP GRC, keep the European Maestro solution running as well, just because of some of the extremely rich reporting features that come out of it.